Here we go, back at Bet Jacksonville for another live stream. The game is 5-10 no limit. I buy in for $5,000 and get right into the action. Calling a raise in the big blind with King 10 offsuit and flopping top pair on 10-7-3 2 clubs. Small blind checks, and I decided to go with a lead on this flop. One, because my hand needs protection. Two, the board is very wet and connected. There's a lot of bad turn cards I can see, and also by taking the lead in the hand, I feel like my opponents will play pretty face up against me. If I'm beat, someone will probably raise. If I'm winning, they'll probably just call. Cutoff makes the call and small blind makes the call. We go three ways to an 8 on the turn. Now, after getting two calls on the flop, this card does improve some hands like two pairs, straights. I could be beat by a better 10 or even a slow played overpair, so I put a little pot control in and check. And the cutoff player checks behind. River card, King of Clubs, interesting card. Now giving me top two pair, but the front door flush gets there. Small blind checks, and I feel like I can go with a bet fold strategy here. If I bet and get raised by either one of my players, I could probably fold this hand, but I still want to bet out small for value, so I make it $75 into a $285 pot. Cutoff doesn't think for too long and folds, but the small blind comes along with a call. We show our hand and end up winning our first pot here, playing on the live stream in Jacksonville. This next hand I show you guys not because it's eventful, but just to add a little bit of dynamic with this particular player in the big blind who I'm going to play a few hands with. I raise under the gun with ace-5 suited to $30. Everyone folds over here to the big blind who had 3-bet at least 2 or 3 times since I sat down at the table. The game has only been running about 30 minutes, and now this guy's 3-bet 2 or 3 times, and this time he comes in with another 3-bet to $165. So it's not very likely, especially in Florida games, for someone to 3-bet 3 or 4 times just in a half an hour period. Obviously, I can't see his cards, and he's not getting his showdown, so I have no idea if he's just picking up monsters like aces, kings, and queens, if he's getting totally out of line with trash hands, or if he's just a very aggressive player. Now, I raised under the gun. He probably is going to be doing this with a very strong hand, given the fact that he could just call. So I think about maybe even folding the ace-5 suited here, but in position over $2,000 deep, I make the call. Heads up to a queen 6-3 1 diamond board. I completely miss, and my opponent now bets $375. This is over the pot, which I find very interesting. Not sure what he's doing here. I think maybe he could have aces, kings, ace, queen, king, queen. The other side of my brain is telling me that he would never really be betting this sizing with a really strong hand on this board. Maybe he's bluffing with a worse hand. He possibly could have ace, king. Maybe if I raise, he'll fold that hand. Should I float and try to take it away on the turn? All that being said, early on in the session versus over a pot size bet, I decided to just let this one go, and this definitely comes into factor later on in the night. About 30 minutes go by, we're still not playing with the straddle, it's just 5-10, so I raise it to $30 under the gun with ace-9 suited. Honestly, I would not be raising this hand if I wasn't playing on a live stream, but given the fact that I drove 4.5 hours up here, and I'm only playing for about 4 or 5 hours, I want to try to get some hands in. So I raise it up, ace-9 suited, and get 3-bet by Will in under the gun +2. He makes it $100. Back over to me. He's $2,000 deep. I feel like I can peel and see a flop. I want to defend against these 3-bets so that these players don't think they can just 3-bet and I'll fold every single time. So I make the call for $100, and we end up going heads up here out of position to an ace-high board, which could be great or it could be bad. Maybe he's got ace-king, ace-queen. Maybe he's got jacks, queens, kings. Not sure if I sucked out or if I'm getting coolered, but when he puts out a bet of $105, I feel like I've got no choice here but call. A raise really wouldn't make too much sense. A fold is just way too tight. So I make the call, and we see an interesting 4 of spades on the turn. This 4 should not help him at all with a set. I don't think it's going to be giving him any 2 pairs when he 3-bets me from an early position. It could give him some flushes, but I feel like that's somewhat unlikely given the fact that the 10 of spades is on the board. It definitely reduces his likelihood of having suited connecting Broadway cards that he may be 3-betting. So when he continues here for a $210 bet, it is getting a little bit interesting. I'm losing to a lot of value hands that he could be doing this with. Ace-queen, ace-jack, pocket tens, ace-king, flushes. Sets, I don't know. I'm not beating much, but I still am beating some double barrels with Queen Jack, King Queen, King Jack, all those hands. So I make the call again for 210, going to the river, and it is the Jack of Diamonds. I don't really like this card. I don't like it at all. It brings in King Queen for a straight, and I check over to him, hoping he checks behind, but checking behind is not what he decides to do. $400 bet here on the river, and now I have a decision to make. Pot is over $1,200. He's betting $400 after a 3-betting, betting the flop, betting the turn, and continuing here on the river. He's representing such a strong hand, most likely flushes and straights. I don't think he's ever doing this with a 1-pair hand. He may even bet smaller with a 2-pair hand. I don't think he has ace-jack very often here. So what should we do? We're getting a good price. I don't like getting bluffed on stream. I put in the call. I will say it here first. I think this is one of my worst calls in a while. The money wasn't that much, only $400, but I still want to try to make the best decision possible. On this river, I can definitely get away with a fold here. I just can't really think of any bluffs that he has. But, oh well, moving on to the next one. About an hour goes by after that ace-9 of hearts hand. I'm enjoying some food that they offer here at Best Bet Jacks. This hand comes up where the hijack raises to $35, and Big Bird here on the button, the same guy who I said was 3-betting quite often, re-raises again to $135. Now, I'm sitting here in the small blind with King 10 of clubs, and I feel like I gotta take a stand against Mr. Big Bird here. He's been putting in a lot of aggressive 3-bets. It seems to me that he's doing this with a wider range than what normal people might be 3-betting with, so I go with a cold 4-bet bluff in the small blind to $400. He's got around $2,500 in his stack, so if he calls, we can still definitely play a little bit of post-flop. He does a little sigh and looks over at me. I'm pretty sure the hand is over now. He tells me, "You caught me," and he folds. Alright, enough with these boring small pots. Let's play a big one, and this one is going to get big. JT opens up here in the hijack to $80. Finally, the straddle is on under the gun. It's 5-10-25, a game I feel very comfortable with. I play basically every single day here in South Florida. So when I'm here on the button with ace-king, I think this is a mandatory 3-bet spot. These cards are very good. Let's play for more money. I make it $285. Everybody folds back over to JT, who ends up making the call. Heads up here to 7-3-7. He checks. I down bet small, $150. Basically what I'll be doing with 100% of my range here. All over cards, all over pairs, all backdoor flushes and straight draws as well. He calls, and we go to the 10 of diamonds on the turn. He checks to me, and I feel like sometimes here I may trap or pot control with a hand like jacks, queens, aces, and kings. Sometimes I could trap and check back with a hand like pocket tens. With my particular hand, I decide to check back. He only has 1 out to win, and somehow he finds it. Queen of clubs on the river. The second time this session we've got unlucky here on the final card. He literally only had 1 out to win, and somehow he finds it. And then oddly enough, he decides to now lead into me for $425, which I find very interesting. If he had a strong hand, wouldn't he check, trying to allow me to bet so he could check call? If he had a 7, wouldn't he try to check raise and allow me to try to bluff on this queen card? I'm going to have a lot more queen X holdings than he is. So immediately I feel like he's bluffing here, so I consider maybe hero calling with ace high. But then I think maybe he's turning a pocket pair into a bluff, like 5s, 6s, 8s, or 9s. Maybe he somehow got there with king queen, ace queen. So, given the fact that he could have a pair, I only have ace high, I feel like we just gotta let this one go.
Oh yeah, dude, Adonis is fine, yeah, he just...
Yeah, exactly what Strawman just said.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And he rips it!
Whoa! Oh
wow!
My God!
Oh my goodness.
Talk about putting JT
wow.
in the blender.
At the last minute, right before I folded, I decided, you know what? Folding is boring. How about we turn this hand into a bluff? And I decide to rip it all in for his last $1,500. Basically, a couple of things were going on in my head. I felt like he didn't have that strong of a hand. Either he was bluffing with a smaller pocket pair, or he just had a Queen X hand like Queen Jack or King Queen, or maybe even Ace Queen. But either way, I felt like if I go all in here, it's going to put him in a very tough spot for his last $1,500. He didn't seem like the kind of player that would want to call down super light on the river. He only had $1,500 left in his stack, so maybe, possibly this could be his last buy-in. I don't know. Never played with this guy before, but at the time, I feel like I could put him in a tough spot if I jammed here. And also, I mean, what hands would I really be bluffing with? What hands would I check back here and then jam over his bet on the river? I'm representing such a strong range of a slow played 7, pocket 10s, pocket queens, ace queen, aces, and kings. And his particular hand of king queen is beating none of those hands. So I'm hoping my image will pay off here. I'm hoping to get this bluff through. If not, I'm going to be down thousands of dollars.
Wow, and
What
he folds.
does JT
Huge.
folds? What a bluff from
What
Lexo.
a bluff from Lex. Oh, the man.
Wow.
I've noticed after the last 4 years of playing poker that I just never, ever get big bluffs through. I don't know if it's the fact that I'm a young guy or that people just never believe me, but anytime I put out a big bluff on the turn of the river, I just feel like I always get called. So it feels good to finally get a bluff through, get someone to fold a good hand, especially on a live stream as well. We end up taking down a decent one here. This next hand is against Don, who's not my favorite player to play against, only because he has much bigger arms than me and much tanner skin than me. So when we go heads up on a live stream, he just makes me look like a small, pale little guy. Not my favorite. He raises, I make the call with Jack 8 offsuit and go heads up to a Jack high board. With top pair, I check and Don bets $100. I make the call and the turn's a 10 of spades. An interesting card. And I decide to lead out now for $160. I lead out here just because I think he's going to be checking a lot on this 10 of spades. I think he can also call with a lot of hands that he wouldn't be betting with. So I want to take the lead in the hand and lead out here for $160 just for value and also for protection against some of his cards like King Queen, Ace Queen, Ace King. He could also have a 10 like 10-9, Queen 10, King 10. So when I bet 160, he thinks for a little bit of time and makes the call. As you can see, he's open-ended. We just got a fade of 4 to win or chop, and of course, the river's a 4. For the third time in this session, we get rivered by a straight draw or a pair. Not my best day on the poker felt. I consider maybe checking this river, but I don't think he's going to be betting a worse hand like a 10 if I check. I also don't think he's going to be bluffing, so I feel like I could bet, and if he somehow raises, I could fold. But by betting here, I could maybe get hero called by a 10x hand. But I feel like a lot of the time, I'm going to bet, and he's just going to fold a hand like Ace King, Ace Queen, or King Queen. But as you can see, Don rivered the straight here. He's got the second nuts. We're very deep stacked, over $4,000 effective. And he decides to go with an $800 raise on the river. This raise really surprised me. I was not expecting to get raised here on this river. I started to go through all my options, and at first I feel like maybe he could be bluffing. It's possible he could have a hand like pocket 8s or pocket 9s or 10-9, all hands that block the nuts, which is 8-9 for a straight. But then I think to myself, well, Don doesn't really get out of line too often. I haven't seen him put in any real big river bluffs, and he also plays fairly protective with his stack. Protective, I mean, I don't think he's going for a thin value here with a raise like with ace jack or aces or kings. When he raises here on the river against me over $4,000 deep, I feel like he's going to have a set like 6s, 7s, and 10s and a straight. I don't think he's raising 2 pair or 1 pair on this river card. So he is pretty polarized here to a very strong hand or a bluff. So I consider hero calling, and then I consider maybe I could turn my hand into a bluff. This is definitely a high-level play that I've seen Garrett Adelstein or Andy Stacks do, where they decide to value bet the river, they get raised, and then they turn their hand into a bluff because they block the nuts. I have an 8 in my hand, so I block him from having 8-9 for a straight. I can have all the combinations of 8-9 for the nuts, and he really can't. He's not going to have 8-9 offsuit raising here in the cutoff. So I contemplate check jamming all in here for over $4,000. It would put him in a sick, nasty spot with a set, or maybe even if he has 8-5, he would be in a gross spot. But after thinking for a while, once he raises me here on the river, I don't think he's going to fold. So I finally decide to let it go. Moving on to the next one, and this one is a doozy. What does doozy even mean? I don't know. Anyway, under the gun +2 raises to $75, and Big Bird here in the hijack 3-bets again. This guy's a 3-bet machine. He makes it $225. I'm here in the cutoff with King Queen suited. A very pretty, beautiful hand. What should I do? Should I fold? Should I call? Should I 4-bet? I'm not really sure, but I actually think a cold call here in position is fine. I'm definitely not a fan of cold calling 3-bets. However, there's a couple reasons behind this call. One, I'm in position. Two, I'm pretty deep stack with both players. Also, I could potentially have Big Bird completely dominated here. He could be 3-betting with a hand like King Jack or King 10 or King 9 like we saw in the first hand. He could also be 3-betting worse Queen X hands or worse suited broadways. So I think a call is fine. We're very deep stacked and I'm in position. And JT makes the call as well. 3 ways, 3-bet pot, and we finally smash a board. King, King 7, rainbow. We flop trips. JT checks, and now the hijack player who 3-bet checks over to me. My options are bet or check, and I actually feel like on this very dry board with such a strong hand, sometimes trapping could be good, especially because Big Bird is very aggressive. He could take this as weakness and maybe try to turn his hand into a bluff later on. I decide to check back, and the turn's the 3 of spades, now bringing in a flush. JT checks, and the hijack player quickly bets $500. I start to think of what kind of hands could the hijack player have here. I feel like he could have some pocket pairs like 10s, jacks, queens, or aces that checked on the flop, and after the flop check through, he feel like he has the best hand and puts out a bet. I feel like he can also have a hand like ace queen of spades, ace jack of spades, ace 10 of spades. So I feel like calling here is fine, and also raising here is fine as well. I ultimately decide to call to try to keep Big Bird's bluffs in there, and JT comes along with a call as well. So I feel like one of them has a pair and the other one has a flush draw. So we're looking for a brick river card, and we get it with the 6 of diamonds. The flush misses and JT checks, and now the hijack player jams all in. He goes all in here for over $2,600. At first I was feeling great about my hand, but now I'm not feeling too good. I decide to get a count, and the dealer ends up counting out the chips, which ends up being $2,800 here. The pot was $2,200. I'm facing an over pot sized jam into multiple people here on the river. Could I ever fold King Queen for trips? Well, I'm only really losing to 2 hands. I'm losing to Ace King, and I'm losing to pocket 7s. Would Big Bird be 3-betting pocket 7s? Probably not. I don't think he ever has 4-5 for a straight or pocket 6s for a full house. So that means I'm only losing to Ace King. I'm also beating his bluffs. I'm also beating his pocket pairs like aces, queens, and jacks. So I just don't think I can let this one go. I make a pretty quick call. JT folds, and we get the bad news. Ace King from my opponent, and I end up losing almost an $8,000 pot here at the end of the night. A massive cooler. Trips versus trips in a 3-bet pot.
Wow.
Maybe. Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Ronan, you just dealt.
Welcome.
Yeah, you're now officially a live stream dealer.
Wow.
What a cooler. Jinx,
Oh
you owe
my
me a
goodness. I'll buy you a Mountain Dew. Yeah, he just went from almost even to really Stucksville.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
And
look at that. 7.8K going in the way of Big Bird. Wow.
But Lexo,
Reload money.
just wheels on back to his backpack, and looks like he is. Oh yeah, he busted out the weekend envelope.
Yeah, he did. He came to play.
He didn't have a weekend wallet. He had a weekend envelope.
What a cooler.
Yes, a cooler indeed. That one stung pretty bad, not gonna lie. Losing almost an $8,000 pot with only 45 minutes left in the stream. I decided to buy back in for $5,300, so now I have about a $6,000 stack. There's a little bit of time left. Let's see if we can get some of this money back. I'm probably stuck around $4,500, just getting completely crushed after that hand, but I do pick up jacks now in the small blind. There's a raise from the hijack. I 3-bet to $300. Other players fold, and now it's over here to the new player, Brett, in the third blind, and he goes into the tank. And I'm hating life already because I already know what's coming. A 4-bet is incoming, and no one likes to face a 4-bet with pocket jacks. I mean, come on. Just let me win a hand, guys. Brett does decide to put in a cold 4-bet to $850. Hijack player folds action back over on me. I take a look at his stack, and he started with around $3,800, which is around 150 big blinds. I feel like in the past I may just get frustrated and jam all in here, but facing a cold 4-bet, I don't feel like pocket jacks is a hand I want to be 5-bet shoving with for almost $4,000. I could call and try to set mine and win a big pot, or I could call and just fold on any ace, king, or queen. I feel like that option's the best. Let's set mine. Let's see what happens. Let's maybe win a pot. So I put in the call for $850. $1,700 in the middle, heads up, 4-bet pot, and the flop comes out ace, king, high. Yeah, not my night. I check, he bets, and I make a very quick fold, and this ends up being the last hand of the night. After about 4.5 hours of play, I end up racking up my chips, heading to the cage, and cashing out for the night. Alright, not my best day of playing poker. Ended up losing, actually I'm going to save that number for the end of the video. So, two things happened today. Two things that very rarely ever happen to me. I pride myself on being responsible, you know, someone who's somewhat put together as an adult. I don't lose things, I don't misplace things, I don't need any help navigating any areas. I can get from A to B very easily. I don't really have any problem with getting somewhere on time. And today, I have to drive from South Florida up to Jacksonville. It's a 4.5 hour drive. I got my dog in my apartment. I'm gonna leave him there because my friends who also live in my apartment complex are gonna come up during the day, grab him, and take him back down to their place. So, I say goodbye to him, I clean everything up, I get my bag, I get into my car, I drive away. I'm driving towards the turnpike, I get on the turnpike, I'm headed up north, and I realize I fucked up. I forgot to keep the door unlocked, and I forgot to keep the key in the house. So now I got my key on me, my apartment's locked, my dog's inside, there's no way for anybody to get to him, and I'm 15 minutes down the road. I can't keep going, because I'm going to be gone for 36 hours. Of course, my dog can't sit inside for 36 hours, so I got to U-turn back around, go back down to my apartment, back inside, up the elevator, into my apartment, unlock the door, put the key inside, leave, go back down into my car, and get back on my way. When I left, I was going to get there early. Well, after this fiasco, it says I'm going to get there at 6:05, so I'm going to be 5 minutes late. All right, that's fine. I can deal with that. I'm going through the turnpike, get on the turnpike, driving north, making up a little bit of time, as a lot of you guys probably do on long road trips, is you keep looking at the arrival time because you keep trying to, you know, shave off a little bit of time. Well, my dad calls me, I'm talking to him, 30, 40 minutes, I'm making good time now, you know, I'm not getting in any slowdowns. I'm making good time in the left lane. After talking to my dad for 45 minutes, I look back at the GPS because I want to see, maybe I shaved off a little bit of time. The last time I looked, it was 6:05. Maybe it's 6. So I look back at the GPS and it says 7:15. What? What the hell happened? 7:15, and then I realize I'm going to Orlando. I fucked up again. I missed a turn. I'm going to Orlando now. Oh my God. It says I'm going to get there at 7:15 because I have to go all the way around to Orlando. I'm like, no way, not doing this shit. I pull a Yui on the turnpike, head back down south, finally get onto I-95 north, and then head up to Jacksonville, Florida. What a freaking mess. Ended up getting there 45 minutes late. I thought maybe that was all the run bad I'd have for the day. Well, I was wrong. Not my best day of playing poker. One hand that I think I played bad was the Ace-9 of Hearts versus Will in the 3-bet pot. I had this happen to me in Texas where I called down on a board that it was actually the same exact thing. Ace-9 versus King-Queen, hit the straight versus my one pair. For me, when I'm on a live stream, I would rather call and be wrong than fold and be wrong, if that makes sense. I would rather call and be wrong then fold and be wrong. I don't know. That's just how I think. But I should have folded the river in that hand. And then king queen versus ace king on a king king board in a 3-bet pot. I don't know. I mean, I don't think I can ever fold that hand. I'm losing to one hand, ace king, beating a lot of hands. So that was a pretty big pot. That was like maybe an $8,000 pot or something. Ended up losing $4,700 total on the session. Not my best day of poker. However, this month of December has been extremely swingy. I've been winning huge and losing huge. Like, I'll win 10K in 2 days, lose 10K in 2 days. Win 6K, lose 7K. Win 12K, lose 10K. It's been a very swingy month, very up and down. I think I don't even know. I might be down, might be up on the month. I don't know. But either way, before I finish this video, I do want to thank the Best Bet Jacksonville staff for getting me this hotel. They gave me the hotel for the night so I don't have to drive back super late. It's a very nice hotel. Also want to thank the dealers for the game. They were super good, super fast, efficient. The players, it was a fun game. Not many fish, not any real big whales, nobody like pushing a bunch of action, but it was a good, friendly game. The waitresses, the staff there, and also, one other thing. There was a brush, I didn't catch his name. There was a brush at Jacksonville Best Bet who gave me these cards. And these cards, if I can get this open, they're all matte black. Ace of spades. Matte black playing cards. Only problem is it's very hard to tell what card it is. But I like it, it's cool. Thanks to him, thanks to the brush at Jacksonville. And I also met a bunch of people there just playing cash games, came up to me, talked to me. Thank you guys for watching my videos. Thanks for hosting me, Best Bet Jacksonville. I'll be back. And that's it for this one. Next stop is Vegas after the New Year's. Hope you guys have a fun New Year's, safe New Year's. Until next time, I'll see ya.